Hello and welcome to the RE Department's presentation on why you, yes you, should take GCSE Religious Studies. You know it makes sense, and I shall explain why. If Spidey endorses it, you know it must be right. Have a look at these bullet points. They basically say most of the reasons why RS is such a great subject to follow for GCSE. We do take RE to a more academic level at GCSE. Having said that, the basic idea behind RE is still there to give you a voice, to enable you to investigate big questions and big issues. And we're confident that if you embark on this journey, you will get so much out of it that you will take with you for the rest of your life. One of the biggest reasons why many people don't opt for GCSE Religious Studies is because they say they don't need it. There is a misconception that's been going around since I was at school that there are certain subjects that people must have, that they will need. When the government consulted with teachers and employers a few years ago, when it was changing to GCSEs and A-levels, it asked employers what GCSEs employees would need. The vast majority of those employers said there are only two that they really must have: English and maths. There's a possibility that an employer may, because of what it does, look for another one in particular. But the idea that there are certain other subjects away from English and maths that people need above others is a misconception. And you can see from the pink square here just how many jobs there are, and this list could go on forever, where people will need to know how to take a step back, how to accept that people are different, how to be able to put forward their view effectively and confidently. So many of the skills that people learn, the knowledge that people gain from religious studies, is to be used in every walk of life, and also for some really cool chats down the pub when you're old enough to do it, of course. So I would really urge anybody looking at this PowerPoint to really consider that there are two things that education does by way of learning. Children know facts. People need to know certain things about certain things. People also need to know how to do certain things, how to evaluate, how to discuss, how to conduct an experiment effectively. They need to know those things. RS is so much about how to be a person in the world who is engaged, who can be somebody who contributes in a positive way, just as much, if not more, than the kind of person who knows facts about worldviews. So when you look at this list, which is, as I said, not exhaustive, you can see just where RS and RE generally come in really, really useful. Anything what you do where you have to engage with other people requires the kind of knowledge that I'm talking about. Now, whilst it's true to say that the religions we study in RS at this school do not include Islam, it's Christianity and Buddhism, this is a great example of being caught out by not knowing certain basic things about a worldview or about a world religion. And quite honestly, there's a heck of a lot about Christianity that people think they know, but actually might get wrong. There's a lot of assumptions made about Buddhism, and there's a lot of assumptions made about people who might be atheist or humanist. What RS does is it enables people to address those misconceptions, learn about these worldviews, and then have a secure knowledge when they leave school and go out into the big wide world, and then hopefully don't do something as silly as designing packaging to be in line with a promotion that completely doesn't work. Islamic food laws state quite clearly that one of the things that is forbidden to eat is pork. smoky bacon flavoured Pringles, and Ramadan, the month of the Islamic year when Muslims are encouraged to fast and not eat. What worse way can you imagine for a Muslim to be encouraged to celebrate the end of Ramadan than by eating something that tastes of pork? I said earlier on about the kind of things that people would learn about, the debating and the discussing and the evaluating. Well, the first exam that you would sit is a 2-hour long exam, and it's philosophical and ethical studies in the modern world, and there are 4 topics, and they're in front of you now. A really wide range of things that we would discuss and talk about and need to know about. So Buddhist and Christian and non-religious ideas about life and death. Buddhist and Christian ideas about relationships. So what is a good relationship? What kind of relationships would be in keeping with the 2 religions? Buddhist and Christian ideas about human rights. How does our concept of human rights today fit in with ancient religious ideas and Christian and Buddhist ideas about good and evil, where it comes from, what it actually does, and what we can do with the good that's in us and the evil that might be possibly in us as well. So some big questions there. On the plus side, as much as we might be thinking, oh, hang on a minute, that means lots of exams, it means 3 exams, totaling 4 hours. No coursework. Some people would like that, some people wouldn't. But bottom line is, you know exactly what's going to be happening. It's all gearing towards 3 exams at the end of year 11, which I think is quite cool, because it means you know exactly what to do when. As I've said already, the 2 religious worldviews we study are Christianity and Buddhism. We also look at humanism and atheism, non-religious worldviews generally, which is appropriate because most of the pupils that attend our school don't follow a religious worldview. So we encourage people, as I said at the beginning, to have a voice, to say what they think, and the GCSE does enable that. Even in the topics where it doesn't specify you must know about non-religious worldviews, if those ideas and thoughts that people write about in their exams are relevant, then examiners like me will give credit for it. So we do our best to encourage all of the pupils at this school, whatever their worldview, to engage fully with this GCSE. We could say if you do well in GCSE RS, then you're going to do well in everything else. It's normal that the RS exams are some of the very first exams in the exam season. So a good way of looking at things is, yes, you've got to get ready for RS, but if you're getting ready for RS and you come out of those exams feeling great, then it sets you up for the other ones as well. I mentioned already that there are 4 hours worth of exams over 3 exams. So these next 3 slides break down what's in each of the exams. So I'll just allow you to have a quick look. I've mentioned what's in the first exam already, but it's well worth reminding people, especially when you see how cool it is, all of the things that people are going to be studying for it. And before we move away from exams, it would be helpful, wouldn't it, to know what you do in the exams. So each section of each exam will ask you to do 4 things. First of all, you'll be asked to define something, to say what a word or a phrase means, and that will be taken quite literally. You know, what does this word mean? Tell me. It doesn't take very long, and you can get 2 marks for it, which is quite nice. Then you'll be asked to describe something. That'll be for 5 marks. That'll be a very basic, short description of a belief, an event, a teaching. Then things start to ramp up a little bit. If you imagine an explain task, which is worth 8 marks, is like a describe task, but with more detail and more depth to how these things that you're explaining link to key beliefs and teachings. Finally, there's a discuss question. There'll be a statement that somebody will be putting forward, and then you'd be asked to discuss that, showing you've thought about more than one point of view. You must include religious ideas in your answer, and the life and death section of the first exam will insist that you use non-religious worldviews in your answer too. So the 15 marker is the big one. It's where you evaluate, it's where you explain, and you may be doing a bit of describing as well. So it's bringing all of these skills together to show that you can evaluate effectively and analyse at a very high level. It might sound a little bit daunting, but by the end of the course, we're confident that you will be very, very happy to be sitting an exam because you know exactly what to do, because of course we'll have helped you every step of the way. It wouldn't be right for us to get you to sign up to do a GCSE and not give you all the backing that you need. So your teacher will be there to give you help and advice all along the way. There's a Padlet wall which has been set up for some years now and is stocked full of advice, guidance, past papers, videos, everything you could want to help you in your quest for a 9 in RS GCSE. So please feel free to have a look at it. Make it part of your process for considering whether you do this GCSE or not. This kind of thing is going to be there available to you all the time. Now, of course, I would tell you all of these amazing things and try and entice you to do this GCSE because I am the head of RE. Having said that, there are plenty of other people who could give you a nudge in the right direction. So what I invite you to do is to either click on the picture, which is hyperlinked, to the web address that is also linked for you outside the picture on the slide. This will take you to TrueTube, which is an amazing website for RE, citizenship and other subjects as well. There are about 8 or 9 very, very short videos that you can get to from the page that you bring up that will have testimonies from people in every walk of life saying why RE as a whole as a subject and certainly why RS was so useful to them and still is to this day. So please have a look and see what they've got to say. And finally, just a quick point to note that religion and ethics does not stop at this school if you don't take a GCSE in religious studies. Regardless of whether you take GCSE, RS or not, everyone in year 10 and 11 once a fortnight has a religion and ethics lesson. So we still carry on the idea of giving everyone a chance to voice their views, find out about different ways of life, and to have discussion, debate, and enhance their learning that way as well. So I hope you've enjoyed finding out a little bit more about GCSE Religious Studies. If there's any other questions that you'd like to ask, please contact Miss Sayer or me, Mr. Pomfret, at the school.